Signing of the controversial Affordable Housing Act into law by President William Ruto on Tuesday, the government has been put to question on how it plans to implement the law and the criteria it plans to use to tax non-salaried Kenyans. The headache that the government is facing establishing how much non-salaried Kenyans are earning. Regulations and the framework on applying the act will follow. The High Court in November last year halted implementation of the housing tax, saying it was discriminatory and lacked a legal framework. And as Ben Kirui reports, Busia Senator Okiya Omtata has threatened to take the new law to court on Wednesday.
After signing the controversial Affordable Housing Bill into law, President William Ruto's administration is now faced with the headache of the formula to be used to collect the money from non-salaried Kenyans. Non-salaried Kenyans were roped into the housing levy after the court deemed it unfair to impose the 1.5% housing levy solely on salaried Kenyans. The Kenya Kwanza government and affiliated members have tried to address this.
There is a provision to collect money from non-salaried Kenyans. What we are now supposed to do is regulations which will actually set out how this money is to be collected from the non-salaried Kenyans, because it's a little bit tricky to establish the income these people are making so that you are able to deduct from it a certain percentage. But with the time and with more work into the regulations, we are likely to get it right.
While the reduction of salaried Kenyans will take effect at the end of this month, it will be difficult to enforce the law on unsalaried Kenyans until there are regulations in place.
It may be a little bit difficult because you have to establish the income of a person who is not salaried. Then you have to make a deduction on it. It may be enforceable on assumptions if the KRA and the other collecting agencies are able to establish what the income is. But essentially, a formula has to be devised, and this has to be contained in the regulations to come by.
The levy has been the subject of contention between the government, the courts, and Kenyans as many questioned its legal framework. The court in November 2023 ruled that the housing levy collection was unconstitutional, sending members of parliament back to the drawing board. Both the Senate and the National Assembly passed the bill last week, with amendments introduced in the bill including expanding the base to include non-salaried Kenyans, encompassing those whose income isn't easily traceable by the Kenya Revenue Authority. The president at the weekend saying he had an agreement with the judiciary on the affordable housing project.
Tumekubaliana na mahakama tuwe na sheria ambayo itapanga mambo ya housing.
Busia Senator Okiya Omtata has threatened to take the new law to court, alleging the government ignored concerns of Kenyans over the increasing tax burden. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.